观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看《洋厨房》，我是刘烨，世界美味与你共尝。春节假期呢已经结束了，不少人呢已经在上班或是上班的途中。那在刚刚过去的这个春节啊，各位是不是天天大鱼大肉相伴，嘴巴有点吃腻了呢？吃什么都觉得没有味道了。那这个时候啊，清淡健康的刮油菜式啊就该登场了。那今天的卖家秀啊，就给大家带来几道菜。
It's Bernie's first birthday, and we're having a garden-themed celebration for our little dirt-loving daughter. For the special dessert, I am making my rainbow cake and a tiny smash cake just for Bernie to destroy. I start with my basic vanilla butter cake recipe and then naturally dye each layer a different color and cover the whole thing in cream cheese frosting. To get going, I'm going to sift together the dry ingredients for my cake. I'll get 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. And I find that with a butter-based batter, because it's so thick, sifting the dry ingredients helps them to incorporate. I'll add 1 tablespoon of baking powder, which will help the cake rise and get fluffy. And I'll sift it all together. I want to make sure to avoid any clumps in the dry ingredients. Next, I'll add 1½ teaspoons of kosher salt, and I'll mix this in lightly with a fork. So no matter how hard I try to get Bernie cute outdoor toys like kiddie pools and stuff, she always inevitably crawls over to the garden and starts playing in the dirt. So I figured, that's gotta be a perfect party theme. She'll love it. I'll set my dry ingredients aside and grab my butter. I'll add 1 cup of softened unsalted butter. And then whenever I make a butter cake, I like to also add some coconut oil. I'm using refined coconut oil here, which won't add any coconut flavor. I'll grab my sugar. I'm gonna add 2¼ cups. Gotta be sweet like Bernie. And I'll beat this for a few minutes until it's light and fluffy. I've got 4 eggs here, and they've been coming to room temperature. I'm gonna reduce the speed a little bit. I'll add the eggs 1 at a time. Bernie loves feeding the chickens. She calls them bok-boks. 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I like a lot of vanilla flavor. For even more richness and tenderness, I'm gonna add ½ cup of sour cream. This is such a fluffy, nice batter. I'll give this a mix, and then gradually add the flour mixture. It's starting to smell good. I have tested this cake many times. It has to be perfect for Bernie's first birthday. Now, I don't want to mix the dry ingredients in fully at this point, so the fact that I can still see some dry flour bits in the batter, that's exactly what I want. And now I'll divide the batter into 3 bowls and get my natural colorings. Rather than using food coloring to dye the layers, I'm using beet juice, carrot juice, and mint puree, which adds such lovely muted tones. You can't actually taste the beet or the carrot. The mint just adds a little hint of freshness. So I have 1/4 cup of beet juice here, and I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of milk. The same with the carrot juice, I'll add 1/4 cup of milk. I'll drizzle in the mint puree. I made this easily by blending fresh mint with whole milk until smooth. So tasty. And I'll mix it up. I can kind of smell whiffs of that mint. That one's combined. Next, I'll do my orange layer. And now the beet juice. Gotta be careful with this because the beet juice is gonna stain my clothes if I splatter it. This is a great color palette. I'm ready for my cake pans. I have my 8-inch cake pans that have been greased and lined on the bottom with parchment so that they don't stick. And I'll add each layer to a pan. I love this earthy green color. And next, the orange carrot. Looks dreamy. And the red. I'll smooth out the tops with an offset spatula, smoothing it all the way to the edge. These look gorgeous already. I'll stick them in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. They smell so good, and they're lightly browned around the edges, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm gonna let these cool while I cut out my marzipan letters. I'm just using store-bought marzipan here, which is essentially almonds and sugars blended together into a dough. And I've dyed mine beet red, moss green, and Dijon yellow. So I'll roll it out and cut out my shapes. I'm gonna dust my surface with some powdered sugar because the marzipan's a little bit sticky. And then I'll roll it out until it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's like playing with modeling clay. Now I'll get started cutting out my letters. I'll start with H for, holy cow, this is a cute way to decorate a cake. And I'll poke it out with a chopstick. Just like that. And now I'll cut out the rest of my letters and a little number 1 for how many Bernie is. My cakes are cool and I'm ready to put together Bernie's smash cake now. I have this itsy bitsy cake stand and a biscuit cutter. I'm actually gonna cut off the very top layer of the cakes, stack them up, and then make Bernie's cake layers. And if they tear a little bit, that's okay. They'll still smush together. And then I'll lay this layer right on my counter here. And now the yellow layer. And then I'll place this right on top of the green layer. Looks kind of scrappy right now, but just wait. And lastly, the beet layer. Put this right on top. I'll smash this all together. And then I'm gonna use my biscuit cutter here and I'm gonna cut out a few little circles. And then these will be the layers of Bernie's cake. Hee hee. Look at all of the little rainbow layers. So now I just need to frost and decorate. I'm using my go-to cream cheese frosting recipe. Then I add a nice pop of frosting in between each different level and cover the outside completely. I don't want to forget Bernie's smash cake. And pipe little drops of frosting around the edge to form a beautiful border. Then I gently press my marzipan letters and they stick like magic. I'll add a few marzipan veggies too, and a sprinkle of cookie dirt. Could it hurt? Ta-da! Like a mama cake and a baby cake. I can't wait to see Bernie smash and devour this. For a crave-worthy appetizer at Bernie's birthday dinner, I am making a dead simple tomato and mozzarella tart. It's cheesy, comforting. It's kind of like a margarita pizza, but with a flaky, buttery pie crust. To get started, I'm slicing up some tomatoes. I'm using a variety here because it'll look so pretty. I've got a beefsteak tomato, some vine-ripened tomatoes, and these little Campari guys, including some yellow ones. There is nothing better than a garden tomato. I'm gonna put them on some paper towels now because I wanna draw out some of the moisture so that my tart isn't soggy. I'll lay them out in one layer. Look at this color. I'll sprinkle these with some kosher salt to help draw out the liquid. And while these do their thing, I'll grab my pie dough and mozzarella. I'm just using my go-to pie dough recipe here, but of course store-bought will work. I'll dust my counter with a little flour so it doesn't stick. And I'll dust the top too. And I'll roll this out until about an 11 or 12 inch circle. Okay, I'll brush a layer of egg wash all around the edges. It's gonna help this stay together. And this is just an egg beaten with a splash of water. And I like doing it before adding the other stuff. It's just easier that way. All right, next I'll pile on the mozzarella. This is just basic shredded mozzarella. I cannot resist mozzarella with tomatoes. Next, I'm gonna sprinkle on 1 clove of minced garlic and then some fresh basil. Basil is the best. And we can't get it all year round. So if I want endless amounts of basil, I've gotta grow it in the garden. And now I'll layer on my tomatoes. I'm gonna start with these big boys. And I'll nestle them up close to each other. I want a nice variety. And now I'll fold the edges of the dough over to pleat, just like a galette. Looks beautifully rustic. I'll finish by brushing the edges with egg wash. This will help make the edges shiny, and it's also gonna allow my toppings to stick. And I'll sprinkle with flaky salt and black pepper for crunch and saltiness. So gorgeous. Okay, let me get my pan. And I'll slide this right on. And now this is gonna bake at 400 degrees for 35 to 45 minutes until the edges are golden brown and the inside is melty. I can't wait. I'm smelling that buttery crust. This is perfectly golden and that cheese is melty. I'm so excited to eat this. Let me transfer it to a serving plate. Gorgeous. I'll just finish it with some fresh basil and then it'll be ready to serve. Beautiful. I'm gonna have 2 slices. When you live on a beet farm and you're celebrating your daughter's garden-themed birthday party, you've got to have beets on the menu. So I'm making my beet ricotta dip, which is earthy and creamy, and when you dunk a crisp vegetable into it, it is a rowdy texture party. To get started, I have some beets here that I've roasted with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper, just until they're tender. And I'm wearing gloves so that I don't dye my hands. I'll trim off the tops and quarter them up. And you can leave the peels on. Because I'm blending it all up, there's no need to peel them. Okay, next I'm gonna grab my ricotta. This will add a rich, creamy texture, and it'll also allow the flavor of the beets to shine through. I'll add 1 cup of this. And then a couple of tablespoons of red wine vinegar will add some punchy acidity. I'll season with salt and pepper, and that's basically it. I might be serving this just for the color. This is an instant party. I'll dump this into my bowl. So Nick is a beet farmer, but he doesn't farm red beets like this. The beets that he farms are big white beets that turn into table sugar. But nonetheless, this family does love all kinds of beets. Rainbow beets, golden beets, sick beets. And when I have a big bowl of party dip like this, I like to plate it with 1 big nice swoop. It makes it look party ready, and it'll catch some drizzles of olive oil that I'm gonna add right now. This will add a little more flavor on top and just give it that nice glossy something something. I'll add some black pepper. And lastly, some flaky salt. I'll add nice crunch. This looks amazing. I'm gonna keep this in the fridge until it's party time. For the main course, I'm making one of my childhood favorites that I know Bernie loves. My pretzel crusted chicken nugget salad has crunchy, juicy morsels of meat on a bed of crisp greens. I coat and bake my nuggets first and then toss everything together with a creamy Caesar dressing. To get started, I'm crushing up my pretzels, which I love on chicken nuggets because they add that pretzel-y flavor, they add saltiness and crunch. Okay. My pretzels are crushed. I'm gonna dump them into my shallow bowl here. Pretzels go with everything, savory and sweet. And now to get these pretzels to stick, I'll whip up a mayonnaise coating. I like using a mayo-based dredge because it adds so much flavor and moisture to the chicken. I'm gonna start with 1/2 cup of mayo, and then 1/4 cup of mustard. Mustard goes so well with both chicken and pretzels. Some grated Parmesan cheese, and this is really finely grated so that it helps everything stick. And then a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm not gonna add salt to this because of course there is a lot of salt on the pretzels. Lastly, I'll add some fresh cracked pepper. And I'll stir this until it's smooth and creamy. I just got a whiff of that garlic powder. Looking good. Now I'll grab my chicken. I got my chicken breast here that's cut into nuggets already, and I'm gonna work in batches, taking the chicken through the coating, the pretzels, and then onto the pan. And I'll just get in here with my hands. I'll toss it around and get it evenly coated in the mayo. It's gonna help the chicken stay juicy, and it's gonna help the pretzels stick. And then I'll transfer it to the pretzels and get it coated all over in the pretzels. And I have 1 hand for the chicken and the mayo mixture and 1 hand for the pretzels. It'll just be cleaner that way. And I love this because it's one less step than your typical flour, eggs, and breadcrumb coating, and the mayo coating is adding so much delicious flavor. And I'll just put this onto my pan, evenly spaced so that the chicken gets cooked on all sides. Birthdays are kind of emotional now with Bernie because it's so true what they say about time flying fast. I want her to be my little nugget forever. And before these go in the oven, I'll spray them with some cooking spray so that they can get nice and crispy. So easy. Now I'll bake them at 425 for about 12 minutes until they're cooked through and golden. It's almost time for Bernie's birthday party, and I can't wait to surprise her with tons of delicious food and her favorite people. My pretzel crusted chicken nuggets have been baking, and it smells like the best fast food restaurant in here. I'm gonna check on them. These are golden and beautiful. I'm gonna let them cool slightly while I whip up my dressing, and then I'll put the salad together. This dressing is super creamy and extra cheesy, which are two hallmarks of a great Caesar dressing. I'm gonna start with plain whole milk Greek yogurt, and it adds that great tang. I'll add 1 cup to my bowl, half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Caesar dressing has to have loads of Parmesan. A couple of tablespoons of Dijon mustard. We'll just amp up that mustard flavor that's in the chicken coating already. A few shakes of Worcestershire. And Caesar dressing has to have anchovy in it. I didn't want to add too much, but this has a little bit of anchovy flavor in it, so you're getting a tiny bit. I'll add the zest and juice of a lemon. This is such a great dressing to make in a big batch and to have on hand. I love it. And while I have my fine zester out here, I'm gonna use it to grate in my garlic cloves. I'm gonna add some olive oil, which will make this dressing rich and luxurious. About a 1/4 cup. And then I'll season with salt and pepper. I wanna take it easy on the salt though, because that Parmesan does have a lot of salt in it already. Dinner time with Bernie is the best. Now that she's kind of eating and talking a little bit, she sits at the head of the table and she presides over me and Nick, and she's basically our dinner time entertainment. This dressing looks awesome. I'm gonna taste it. I love that sour lemon note. Okay, I'm gonna grab my veggies and then I'll put this salad together. I start with curly leafy kale and add sliced radishes for color and pepperiness, a little shaved Parmesan, and then toss with my creamy Caesar to get everything fully coated. Gorgeous. And then I have to have avocados because they're Bernie's favorite. She's such a millennial. Some more Parmesan, more cheese. And now the golden crunchy chicken nuggets, the star of the show. I love the colors of this salad. Pile these right on top. They're so beautiful and golden. And I'll finish with some more black pepper. Okay, I'm gonna taste a chicken nugget. I don't think Bernie's gonna notice. So crunchy and flavorful. I am obsessed with these nuggets. Okay, it's time to kick off Bernie's birthday right now.
Bern, look at this.
Who's hungry?
Ooh,
we are.
Sure.
Come on over, let's eat.
Awesome. This looks so good. So on your birthday, there are a few rules. You get to do whatever you want. You get to get cake all over your dress, no matter how nice it is. And you get to give both of your parents a big smooch.
I'm so happy that we can have a baby so I can unironically eat chicken nuggets.
Same.
Who's ready for cake?
We are.
Bernie, if you eat my cake, I'm gonna eat yours.
Happy